Okay, I went and listened to it. You could still hear it even with the ultrasonic jammer on, which is interesting. I don't know. I need to get a microphone. Right now, this is recording on the microphone on the camera, I believe, or it could even be recording on the microphone from like underneath the desk, uh, which is not great. Um, I should know, but I don't. So this is overall. Also, this camera does something funny when you stand up with your body. I mean, it just kind of squishes it or something. It's not very professional. Because it was in progress, I just grabbed the camera and turned it on, um, and that's just going to have to be the case. See how was doing with the light. Hold the same. Light off. Again, lamps are gynecological lamps. Oh, okay. You can hear what I'm saying in the last one. Well, they are on Alexa heavy breathing, and Alexa heavy breathing guy is very very real. Um, I talked for the last like hour and a half. Even though I'm sure if you can put on headphones, um, the you don't necessarily. It's not a mind reader. It's just record. Uh, I look fine. I mean, it's not. Well, if you listen to what I'm saying, that's correct. That's what I'm trying to get across, and I'm trying to organize. If you can see, I tried to organize and be as appropriate as possible for all of it. Um, but I mean, I'm going to even do some more, and just keep all sort of um, segment because I had it on in the kitchen. It was so in progress. They do not have the electronic grounder on right now with the electrocution. I'm positive. Um, the um, the sort of extreme nature, if there's any extreme nature of my behavior, which very much would be, it is all in interaction response. You need to investigate, and get exactly, recreate what's exactly going on here, get what's being done to me. You need to check for other victims. They're very, very vocal about. Um, Hold on, I have one other jammer up. Let me turn it off because uh, maybe that will make it better. But as far as such, I covered everything, I think, and you can hear it just fine. You could also hear it with headphones. I'm really sorry if it's like much better. You can hear everything I'm saying, and if you listen to it, maybe just put me on while you're doing dishes yourself. It's completely harmless. Like I look perfectly fine. I'm a 45-year-old woman in my house in Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Nevada. I inherited from my grandfather, who passed away at 98 years old recently. So, in the old folks' home in Florida, where we moved him, we were having lovely interactions with him, and then he fell and passed away. It was a nice old folks' home. They had lots of activities. My mother was really having a good time. She enjoyed spending time with him. Couldn't have been a nicer man or more interesting. And But she was back and forth often to this property. And when I got to the property, it was very hot already. Because she was consistently back and forth. They followed right away on the cell phones. The ability to mirror, they're mirroring cell phone accounts. They apparently have all police access, even though these guys, they say it appears you don't have higher authority and inspection in, and because of that, these guys are unbelievably. They are the same men in Arkansas. I'm positive they've been the same men throughout. They also are mirroring and have the ability to mirror your Cox accounts, your internet and cable accounts, which are on the same account here in North Las Vegas. You notice right away. But they're definitely mirroring my Cox internet account, as they are the absolutely ridiculously over the top Um, I'm thinking you can hear the Alexa heavy breathing, since the being relayed messages through the Alexa heavy breathing is that people are on the phone because they can hear it just fine. And boy, are they upset because my gosh, on Marcy the mouth over there. Um, the Exactly. So segment completely anything that has. I think it's gotten to a place has any sort of private acts in it. It's just embarrassing to get up to go to the bathroom. I've been using the bathroom in the very far bathroom, so you can't hear me flush in the toilet. Even I'm embarrassed about such things. So I'm going to segment those kind of things completely, tidied up, keep the kitchen, keep things as clean as possible. It was so in progress. I moved wires you can trip over because it's. I've been doing that all throughout. Really, I'm trying to. I mean, it just goes on, but I try to keep up with. Uh, uh, um, but I think I got it down. I think I can really have this organized so it's completely appropriate. I'm not a professional. I do think I need to go and get a microphone. Maybe it's recording from the computer, which is just terrible. Maybe that's the difference in sound, is that I'm on this one now. Um, in fact, I think I'll move the laptop back over to where it was originally and try to work on this computer now. And since it's very active when I'm working on this computer, which is why I put the laptop right there next to where I'm working, because I think that there must be some kind of microphone very close nearby for it that it's accessing. Um, it could be the smart TV, that's correct. Um, it appears to be on your Cox accounts and on your cell phone account. Whatever's going on with the technology, I am absolutely positive that is related. It's technology related. As the person who lives with myself and then lives with technology and who has been living with the crime, I'm positive that in fact that is the case. I know I'm not experiencing disease or defect or breakage in the brain that is producing this in any way. I know that it is in fact just meant heavy breathing on a speakerphone. And that what they do is they have access to mirror your accounts. They have access to law enforcement tech. They've modified law enforcement tech out from outside of what it's supposed to be used for, like warrantless wiretaps. It would almost just be sort of like you'd have to get a warrant past any sort of point if you're going to personally follow people around for any reason. You would have to. That's why those men can't be. None of this can be in a courthouse. They're showing up. You're off jury duty. All the criteria for jury duty applies, and then you knowingly are committing felonies. It's not an accident. You've done it with as much malice and intent and everything else. Today, it's been all this story about like his trash compactor wars, which are we can call it man in the high castle. It is trash compactor wars. It is so bad. The story is the problem with it is it's Poldark. It's an Ed Gein quilting project. It is a story about sadism, but this morning it was stuff about a different species again. Maybe it feels like that because they are, in fact, there's a lot of schizoid going on. There's a lot of schizophrenic, like hazel eyes going on in this. And then there's a lot of schizophrenia, a lot of handicapped males behaviors. In fact, pretty much all the perps in this are not engaging in non-handicapped behavior in any way, shape, or form. And then some of them are the most handicapped man to ever happen, and the worst, the most criminally inclined handicapped men to ever happen. I kept saying to the speakerphone, there must not be anybody around where you are, because no one in their right mind. You could find a percentage. You could find people out there with what you have, but they could congregate, which I think might have happened here. You appear to have, they do appear to have picked up other people with them. There may be organized crime of this, very much so, it appears. And the stories I'm trying to relay as to information actually that I have as far as having interacted with my perps here, the perpetrating here for so long. And then also just like from common knowledge, from what people know about this kind of perpetration, I am in fact trying to like keep it factual as possible. If I were to place this kind of organized crime with the neighborhood pornography, stalking, I would place it later. Really, yeah. Then I mean, if I were to not make it up, it would be making it up because that's not where I'm placing it. I'm placing it later in places that other people told me about, where it still goes on a great deal, where it's still there's a very big problem. It does appear to be the same perps. Men, for some reason, have it's mostly male. I think it's male. Have this kind of crime is male. There's something going on where if you are a professional, law enforcement definitely has it. Other people could have access to professional technology. If something happens to you, then it's going to be a professional out scanning the airwaves on the stuff, which they're not supposed to be doing. This appears to be the law enforcement, security, and maintenance personnel for town and city government police or something seems to be they're all day and night. If you notice, again, it's very active at 2 a.m. and then it's very active at 2 p.m. But I mean, they are dead of night, constant. I'm not being electrocuted right now. But so what I'm stating, I'm going to just keep stating it because this is what I know for sure now that I'm putting these pieces together, and then it has to be investigated. You have to shut this down. There is widespread, I'm saying, I think, use of the technology that they are using to offend. They've used to commit all the crimes against me here, and there has been for a long time. I don't think I would have never heard of such a thing, except actually, I've heard about it a great deal. Using something that is some kind of grounder that professionals have access to and law enforcement technology has access to. Military tech probably does too. So using a grounder to sexually assault women and then using various technical abilities that professionals would have. And it seems a certain group, I've actually never heard of guys other. Otis Toole is a schizophrenic. There are schizophrenic puddles of goop over there that are so incredibly bad on the heavy breathing. Really, yeah, and everything out of them is the most schizophrenic thing a monster ever said. It's the most schizophrenic, psychopathic, sexually abusive, motivated serial killer mouth over there to ever crawl out of. They have to be using drugs, really. Yeah, like the crack and schizophrenia in a very bad. I'm saying testosterone male of some sort. There are definitely like I'm getting, when a schizophrenic marries it some other Down syndrome person or something like over there. Like it's unbelievable. Nobody has ever cared. I keep saying that to it. Like, listen, Mr. Speakerphone, there must not be anybody else around because he makes like characters and like dynamics. There's a lot of like I think that would be hyper aggression. They appear to be experiencing like hyper male biology issues to the absolute extremes. I mean, aren't you kind of like there's a lot of sexual abuse over there? Do you need to check for other families because too, like whoever is experiencing the same thing I'm experiencing is going to be doing the same thing I'm doing because there's especially with these guys, there's nothing subtle about them. They're extremely extroverted. Like there's nothing that is ever not just expressed in extreme screaming, shouting, and out loud, and then running and jumping and punching. I mean, it's and then just constant shouting about sex offending. It's a very real thing. I'm positive it's technology, and what it is that they're mirroring my Cox account and my cell phone account. So they're on my Cox account and they're on my cell phone account because of their complete criminal misuse, and especially since they do appear to be interacting with other people. But the monetary Fed is correct, should have been here. All the Fed and everything else should have been here due to the child pornographic, home invasion, schizophrenia, how much it's a. There's got to be nobody around. I don't believe there's anybody around. Apparently, everybody around is called about them too, and they just won't arrest these men. So that's the problem. But I'm assuming they don't actually know what they're doing in here exactly, because the uninhibited behavior is so incredibly extreme. Nobody has ever done is said all that and not gotten arrested right away in any sort of public place. So he makes up these Dennis Radar characters that like support him. They're like girl on girl action and like other guys. That guy's a mess. They'll I said that in the last one. Yeah, he's got a really strange attitude and behavior. He looks a little healthier. I'm thinking the man behind him looks healthier. It looks a little I'm not sure, just like something like you'd expect to see that you wouldn't expect to do that. And then it doesn't I can't quite imagine how these guys look. Somewhere we keep him in the back. Somebody else has to be the friend. Oh, try not to do that to the secretary. He's apparently been doing that on the phone when people call. And his secretary said no and reported it, and then nothing came of it. So you can get them on the phone. They're the same guys in Arkansas, and they picked up friends with the makeup looks fun in person. Again, I'm 45 years old. I don't actually look like that in the mirror. That's sort of unflattering. It kind of, I need to get a microphone. I'm going to go call my father about money right now because I'm trying to get worked out. Like, I'm trying to get worked out. If that in progress police grounder gets turned back on. I'm going to have to leave. If I'm running around screaming or waving it, you're shouting dirty birds back at a speakerphone people can't hear. Fighting invisible bats. It's actually, I'm on an in progress police grounder that can't actually touch your body, which is very, very bad. Really. Yeah. No, they're not young either. A lot of them, they're about the same age as me, or older. So, I mean, they're not that, these guys are puddles of goo. So, I was slightly going through my head. And I mean, the tax money cookie jar. Yeah, I think that's bad. All right, let's unfocus from a face. It looks okay for a face. The point is just to be, I am totally socially acceptable for other situations like which is why no one's ever called the police about me. If it looks like I'm having negative social interactions on the website, no one's ever called the police about it. It means you don't have a behavioral disorder or disease or defect. That goes for having a clear driving record. You've never been in a car accident. You've never had a DUI. You've never gotten a speeding ticket, and I've driven every day of my life since I was 18 years old. That says you aren't handicapped. Yeah. So I'm not handicapped. That goes for my parents also and everything, because they also have the same kind of driving record as me. But so if no one has ever called the police on me, like living in Cary, North Carolina, and Raleigh, no one has ever called the police on me in Wake County in the 30 years some change I live there. So that says I don't have inappropriate social skills and boundaries. Under all normal and slightly abnormal circumstances, which is all you're really supposed to be able to handle that well. or have to, because the police are supposed to come, and if it's you, they'll arrest you because it'll be against the law. Really, yes. Any interactions that are too inappropriate or too offensive in some way are against the law, and under normal circumstances where we're not in the backwards world of the perp being misapplying the law. Really, yeah. You are in a specific field of work, and you are only allowed to do the tasks they're in, and so is the courts. So they're the checks and balances on things. For example, like if you are doing something under warrantless wiretaps, where you mirror cell phones as people go by in crowds to make sure, or you mirror perp cell phones to check what's on them because the perp is in progress or suspect or something like that. That would really, I mean, do we do that? For example, expensive equipment went missing from the job site. Okay, so would the police be able to, under warrantless wiretaps, peacefully flip through the cell phone accounts of, no, it's very much the case. He's just on my cell phone account all the time. He has the ability, and so therefore he is, and has been for years. And then he's just on my Cox account all the time. They sit around and watch everything I watch. Facts and the same on the internet. I'm positive of that because the speakerphone just comments away on it. I heard this every now and again. Okay, so and oh yes, I am looking at groceries on Walmart. Thank you. Okay, so that I'm absolutely positive, and go check. That will be the case, and there's no false positives with that. That is what's going on. But so so the police can do that. So they're just going to flip through all the suspects at the job site, cell phones. I'm not sure what would the legality of that be. Now they're discussing it in law school and in the newspaper, things like that, if they have this ability. Of course, you're never allowed to, if you can scan, all sorts of people have access. Apparently, all sorts of people have access to more ability due to the fact, like if you were a pilot, you could crash a plane and be a terrorist. You could, that's not how being a pilot works. And the same applies here. The monetary Fed needed to show up a long time ago if you were mirroring, because there's a zero tolerance. There's also zero tolerance for pedophilia. I reported that there are men in my perp pile doing what you're doing. That is in fact the case. It's actually just so there and all the time that there's no not. No, nobody likes your story about conspiracies. That's they conspiracy you lady, extreme aggression and combative. Nobody's being combative with you. You're obviously not worried about losing your job since wherever you are, and supposedly everybody else just runs around with you completely knowing all of this, which I doubt, because if they do, then good one, or they are a different species. There are different species of Nazi pedophile recruits. Maybe, you never know. Hard to tell. Someone needs to check. Electrocution. I think it grounds in like water in your body. It hurts like the dickens. Then they definitely have something that generates, so they have electromagnetic grounder on law enforcement tech, and security personnel have access to it, is what I think is going on. And law enforcement security personnel, which is and I also think the town and city police are getting out through law enforcement security personnel in more like nefarious places than properly trained professional police officers. The Detective Pate and Detective Tonieto are very sketchy also. They are not white collar, and the field they would be in would be much more white collar also, because they're detectives. They're supposed to have like the FBI. The guy needs to go. I don't know why that's a company troll for some kind of organized crime. Is actually what I think. It can be organized cultural crime, and then some other organized crime. I believe that's a guy like in the way for things being that someone is knowingly breaking the law. I'm like money generation is correct also. That everybody when polled and when polled, what everybody comes back with being the ordinary high functional people that they experience the world and process things, or constantly processing information. What they're going to spit back out at you. No, I don't know. Since I've seen things. I'm not in the room there with it. I've been in the room with that, something there. Other people talk about it. We actually can't get in the room there. And that does that in there. That did that to us when we did something here with that. And then our friend Sue and blah, 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 blah. So when polled, if they say, no, that's a company troll. That's just like a nasty security guard or something for, they all mention monetary grift crime, sort of generating money. Stone soup is correct also. Using somebody else's, using public sector facilities and other like, they're not paying, but you need to donate more to AA, then I mean, they might a little bit really use it. But it's just there. But they do things like that. They're they appear to cover up for other crime quite badly, and definitely use like a strong arm, like I was talking, which is sort of like an organized crime thing. You would never. They get in trouble if they do it past a point. There's lots of manipulation, lots of lockdown. I'm going to get aggressive with that and then go for it. It's okay. Well, so see, it's still at large. I talked about this extensively in the last one. Which you can hear. I'm going to go work on getting a microphone now because I'm going to need a microphone, I think. I need to talk to my dad about money. So I'll be in the other room talking to my father about money. Going to leave this on here. Muting the microphone. I think the microphone in the laptop is better. How about do we just move it back to the other and other computer, and then I work on now and end this. So.